Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Tuesday morning. Well, the rumors are flying hot and heavy right now. There are so many names. James Harden to the Cavs. How about Giannis to the Warriors, except maybe it's the Wolves and maybe it's the Knicks, and wait, look out for Miami. We're going to talk with Brian Geltzeiler about all this later this morning, see what he really believes is going on. Of course, it's hard to know because whatever's about to happen, it's especially with Giannis, feels just like a poker game, you know? So if somebody raises, it could be Team A, but if Team B ups the ante with one more draft pick, what happens then? So, hey, the Bucks, they're not going to be in this position very often. They might as well get as much as they can. So let the poker game continue. Also, your Utah Mammoth had to win. They'd lost back-to-back games. They had the worst team in the NHL coming in Vancouver. They had to win, and they did win. 6-2 the final score. Nick Schmaltz with a hat trick, goals number 20, 21, and 22 on the season for him. Peterka also got his 20th goal. Looks like both these guys will probably get to 30. And 2 points that the Mammoth really needed to have. They got one more game Wednesday night, and then it's into a 3-week break for the Olympic Games. Right now, let's get to the best of the post-game show as the Utah Mammoth pick up the win at home over Vancouver.
DJ and PK, a 6-2 victory for the Utah Mammoth on Monday night at the Delta Center on a hat trick and a 4-point evening for Nick Schmaltz. John Marino with 3 assists. Karel Vejmelka, his league-leading 26th victory of the season for Utah, who moved back into that top wildcard spot in the Western Conference. They're now 29-23-4 on the year, 16-8-2 at the Delta Center, and 7-1-1 in their last 9 home games here in downtown Salt Lake City. It was a contest where they went shorthanded early, but 10 seconds after the penalty expired, Nick Schmaltz started his big night for the Mammoth.
Here comes Schmaltz with McBain and Marino. Back for Marino. In front, tapped in, and they score! Special delivery from John Marino to Nick Schmaltz, and it's 1-0.
Vancouver got one back to tie us at 1 just 3 minutes and 30 seconds later. Still early in the first period, the Mammoth had taken a 2-1 lead. Another goal by Schmaltz 33 seconds after the Vancouver equalizer.
But he's back in the goal column. Schmaltz in front, shoots and scores again. Nick Schmaltz has 2 tonight. Oh, you're killing me, Schmaltz.
It was a 2-1 game for 21 minutes and 8 seconds of game time as the Canucks hung around, but Utah got the power play going 16 seconds into their second 5-on-4 of the night. Mikhail Sergachev made it 3-1.
Sergachev loads up and scores! That was a rocket from Mikhail Sergachev.
And then 3 minutes and 31 seconds later, Utah would make it 4-1. Lawson Krause out in front for the Mammoth.
Pass across Marino, towards the front, tipped in, and they score! John Marino just chucked it in front. It took a Mammoth bounce, and it's 4-1. Lawson Krause got his boot on it.
Utah cap off 3 goals in 7 minutes and 20 seconds to break it wide open. A 5-1 lead on J.J. Peterka's 20th.
Peterka locates it, flings it towards the net. Rebound for Yamamoto, trying to dangle it in. Back across, one-timer, they score! J.J. Peterka has goal number 20 on the year.
Canucks got one back, and in the third period, Nick Schmaltz had finished off the hat trick. His 22nd of the year, Clayton Keller found him for that.
Brought ahead by Keller. Utah numbers ahead. Keller and Schmaltz. Schmaltz shoots and scores! Another hattie for Nick Schmaltz. Send him! 6-2, and Nick Schmaltz has his second hat trick of the season here at the Delta Center.
So the line of Lawson Krause, Clayton Keller, and Nick Schmaltz combining for 4 goals and 4 assists in the contest for Utah on a nice way to get the week started. A short week for Utah, just 2 games before going into the Olympic break. They'll host the Detroit Red Wings on Wednesday night at the Delta Center. Let's hear what Nick Schmaltz thought after that big one for Utah.
How does this team feed off energy when things are going well and things are going the way you want them to go in a game? Yeah, I think over the last month or so we've been playing some good hockey and slipped a couple games in a row there, so we want to get back on track tonight. We knew this was a big game for us. Standings are super tight, so it was a huge win for us on home ice.
What was working for you tonight to be able to get your second career hat trick, or second hat trick this season?
Yeah, I think a lot of great plays by some guys finding me, and fortunate bounce on one of them, but super excited to get a hat trick and help the team win.
John Marino, your teammate, just set a new career high in points. For him, what impact has he had, not only defensively but offensively this season?
Yeah, he's a great player. I think he's very underrated. He's got a lot of plays with the puck. He waits off defenders and makes a lot of good plays in the middle of the ice, and super great player, so I'm very happy to see him have success.
Lots of success for the special teams tonight on both sides of the puck. What went right today?
I think PK, we did a good job pressuring. I think we talked about that going into the game. We wanted to make them execute plays and be all over them. And if you got to make 3 good plays to get a chance against us, and then power play, I think just shooting mentality. Sergey's got a great shot, and it's huge for our power play. We got to be better if we want to go anywhere here.
Mikhail Sergachev became the 14th Utah skater with a game-winning goal this season, as that power play goal in the second was Utah's 3rd goal. Vancouver only got to 2 in the game, so Sergachev gets the game winner, and we heard from him post-game.
Just in terms of this team's ability to accomplish what you guys wanted to accomplish, maybe check the boxes, what do you feel like your group was able to do tonight?
Definitely score goals. We still got a lot of things to improve on with our consistency for sure. We didn't do a good job tonight. We got to be better in the neutral zone, defending and with the puck. So and sometimes we're just messing around with it too much in the O zone, and instead of just pounding the puck and going to get rebounds.
We know this is not an individual game, but when an individual on the team has a good performance or has confidence, how does that spread around the group?
It's obviously great to see when Schmaltz gets 5. It's a big night, and we're all happy for him. And Johnny too. He's got, I think, 3 points. It's big, and it shows that guys can make plays and create and finish. So we need more of that for sure.
Head coach Andre Cherney happy with the way his team bounced back. They only lost by a goal on Saturday, but as you heard, didn't really think they did anything well as a team or individually, but Bear was much happier after the contest on Monday night.
Even on the first power play, the way we attack, we had the intensity, we recovered those pucks. So I like our special team. We were really opportunistic. We found a way to score a big goal at key moment early in the game and throughout the game. So that's what I think of the game.
2 players that stood out, Schmaltzy and Marino, both with big nights. Marino, new career high in points. Schmaltzy with his 2nd hat trick this season. What was working for both of them on both sides of the puck?
I think Schmaltzy was really good everywhere. He was good defensively, his trip puck, his body position was good. I like this game a lot. Marines as well. I think Marines was solid in his game. His puck decision was good, and obviously made really good play, produce, and all of it.
We talked a lot about assertiveness earlier today. What areas do you feel like that elevated more than normal?
That's a good question. I think we played good at the beginning of the game. I think we played solid. When we score a few goals, we'll be honest, not sure we played as good from the 5th minute or 4 minutes something in the second. We had a tough time to finish the period and had a tough start of the 3rd, but after we played good. Most of the game we played good. It's just we had little spots. So I think we were confident offensively, and like I said, we scored a big goal at key moment. We didn't have a lot of volume, but we had quality chances.
How did you like the way that your team played with the lead tonight versus what they did in Carolina? How they played in the lead that game?
There's a difference, though, having a 1 or 2 goal lead or having a 4 goal lead. So I don't think we were the stingiest team with the lead, but I think the PK was solid with the lead, and I think we did what we had to do to win the game. I don't think it's I have tough time to evaluate it on the same way than the Carolina game or the Florida game, where the game is on the line. You play with a lot of pressure when you lead by 4. It's not the same urgency. It's not the same decision, unfortunately.
A lot of players have said that they needed to simplify the game in terms of approaching the power play. Do you feel like they were able to do that time?
How can I say? Our power play, I think at some point you need to hit rock bottom, because the message has been the same for a long time. But at some point, when you hit rock bottom, you kind of realize, it's true. We need to change something. And I think I had a great meeting yesterday. The practice this morning was okay. I right away I felt okay. Now there's a change of attitude. There's a change in the way we want to do things, and there were maybe a little bit of change in the accountability of what we want as well. But I think the guys really own it, took charge, and we were flying in the morning skate on the power play, and I think it translated tonight when the game started. We won the first draw, and right away we attacked. We have a great one-timer, recovered a loose puck. Right away we were in. We could see it. We meant business. So it was not about how long we will have the puck. It will be where we're attacking here tonight, and it worked. Now we need to build off it.
So the Mammoth now 11-4-1 since the start of 2026. And again, a big one with Detroit on Wednesday. They shut out the Colorado Avalanche to open their road trip on Monday night. They're in second place in the Atlantic Division. Utah beat them in Detroit 4-1 in December. But Colorado also beat them 5-0 on Saturday in Detroit. And they spun back to Denver and beat the Avs 2-0. So big one coming up with Detroit, looking for the series sweep, as the Red Wings will look for another split after losing a home game to a Western Conference opponent. We'll have more on this one and looking ahead to Detroit on Wednesday on Mammoth Daily. It's a Tuesday mailbag edition, and Michael will have a really interesting comparison for you with Daniil Boot and another player or two when they were in his shoes last year and in previous years for the Utah prospect who did not play in the contest on Monday. It's all coming up on Mammoth Daily, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Utah Mammoth YouTube page, Mammoth Plus, and SCG Plus. And we're back on the radio with Hockey Night in Utah coming up on Wednesday, 6 o'clock. We'll take on Detroit. It'll be a 7 p.m. face-off. We'll have it for you all right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, there's the best of the postgame show. When we come back, the Utah Jazz get snubbed. No NBA All-Stars. Not all that surprising in my book. We will get to that next. And then Steve Cleveland talking BYU hoops. What can be done to turn things around? That's coming up. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The All-Star teams are out, PK.
Yeah, all right.
No All-Star for Keontae George and Lauri Markkanen. Did they deserve to make it? Tony says, short answer, yes. But it's more about what sells tickets and gets people to watch, even if it's going to be the worst basketball ever played.
I don't think that's it.
I think it's the fact that the Utah Jazz have not won very many games this year.
I think that's it for guys like LeBron. But the Aviata kid from Portland, I don't think that's it. They've had a better season. And I would be okay with Markkanen making it on one condition.
And what is that?
That they list Lauri Markkanen in the box score and then in parentheses, rest.
Nice. Go to the All-Star game, put your feet up. Made it? Here's your bonus. Most guys have something built in, right? Here's your bonus. Now.
He's missed 14 games.
Take it easy.
He's on track. But when they get good, and I believe it's a when, not an if, he's going to have the freshest legs of anybody relative to his age.
Talked to Locke about that whole minutes thing. 25,000, 30,000, 35,000 minutes where you start to run down.
He sits out a lot.
He's not piling up the minutes.
Yeah. And I think for these guys, since the future is going to be good at some point here, hopefully sooner rather than later, to make sure they're at the premium condition ready to go when it is go time to win, I think they need to have lazy boys along the sidelines.
His feet up.
Yeah.
Can't get out of the way if someone comes crashing into you.
And then they have one of those people dressed in the waitress gear and come and
Bringing
him
them
a drink.
beverages and stuff. They come over to the big old tray. There's a Gatorade bottle on it.
Yeah. And then you see, have some vegetables, carrots and stuff. So, eating healthy. Make a mockery of it. They're sort of, not they exclusively, but the system is made a mockery of. So extend it even beyond that.
Thomas is with you. He says, honestly, Lowry's has missed too many games, and now they're taking turns playing and, quote, resting. So Thomas isn't upset by the lack of all-star berths at all.
I think the most important thing is that you can argue strongly that both of these guys, when they play, are all-star caliber. And that bodes well for the franchise. I mean, Jamal Murray didn't make it until this year.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say he's been all-star caliber for a long time, including when he was clutch when they won a championship.
Right.
And for whatever reason, didn't pick him till this year. But be all-star caliber.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Whether somebody votes you or there's a popularity contest. Didn't Yao Ming was dominating every year?
Because everybody in China voted, he's in.
Yeah. Right, and he was a fine player.
Fortunately, he was a really good player when he was healthy. He had some health issues. But when he was healthy, so it didn't make a big mockery of it. But it was comical to see how many votes he got.
Right. Right, and they're voting for one of their own, so be it. But I think the most important thing is that they're having outstanding seasons. Marketing, you can argue, is having the best season. He's just, the situation is never going to allow him to be anything close to an Iron Man. Because they're going to sit him as much as because he gets in the way of losing.
I do think because you and I have talked about this both on the air and off the air. I think the interesting thing will be. I mean, I don't think he's missed all these games these last 4 years because he's injury prone and been hurt. I think it's clearly been engineered, and yet at the same time, he's never played a full season. So will his body hold up? And we've seen a lot of bigger guys have injuries. Will his body hold up to the pounding? And it'll be interesting when they're trying to win what they consider a full season because even on winning teams, guys still get rested. So I don't think they're ever going to ask him to play 82 games. I don't know if they're going to ask him to play 75.
Well, the most he ever played was his rookie year, 68.
Right. He's never been a 70-game guy.
I mean, last year was an absolute joke, 47.
Yeah. Where's he going to end up this year? Closer to 47 than 66 or 68.
Well, playing 36, that would mean 11 away. And what have they got, 30 games to go? Or 32 games?
Yeah.
They're right at the 50 mark.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming he plays half of them.
So how many has he played already?
He's played 36.
Okay. So he gets to 52.
So he's missed 14 because they're right at the 50 mark.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll see. It will be interesting to see if his body really does hold up. And what they consider full-time as far as, limiting minutes in a game.
Certainly it holds up in the international competition.
Yeah.
Now, it's not the NBA,
Right.
and it's not all this travel, and it's not a slew of games for a long period
You tend
of time.
to go somewhere and then play in that city for
Yeah.
these international tournaments.
Right, and there's a bunch of games, but it's compacted.
Mm-hmm. And they're 40-minute games, not 48.
An NBA season is forever. But they're going to need him.
Yeah.
He's going to have to stop with these in the 60s. You're going to have to get in the 70s. For him to do what he's capable of doing, which is play at an extremely high level, and for the team to get where it wants to go, he's going to have to play. And it's just going to have to. And no more of this sickness and illness and rest. And a lot of it is the situation. But my feeling is, maybe it's just more of a feeling because I don't really have much of a track record to go on, is that he's going to play in his 70s.
I hope so.
And in today's world, that's about all you can ask.
75 is the new 82?
I would say 70. Yeah. And I just called up his thing, his career, and was 1920. So he goes 68 his first season, which is 17-18, and then it drops down to 51-50-26.
So the 51 was there was a significant injury there. That was a full season. The next 2 years weren't full seasons. They were the COVID impacted ones. And I don't think they played 82 coming out of it when they had to start the season late. I know they didn't play 82 when they went to the bubble.
Okay, but then 21-22 is back to 61.
Yes.
First season here, 66. Second season, 55. Third season, 47.
I know.
Those are full seasons.
Yep. So that comes back to the question. There were injuries early. Will there be an injury when they try to play him full time? Or is this sitting him on purpose, protected him from that because his body gets more rest because they're just naturally like, we might win tonight?
I don't know. What makes him so different from the other guys when they were playing 82?
I mean, some of the other big guys do break down. I mean, some big guys do, some don't. But
yeah, but I mean, he's big in height.
I know. He's not as thick as, say, Embiid.
He's
Embiid's
not demanding the ball in the low post.
Embiid and Zion are carrying more weight. And that's more force on the joints with every, trip up and down the court.
And he's essentially a perimeter player.
They put him inside a little more, but playing inside even now doesn't mean what it used to mean. There aren't as many bodies.
And George, you'd have to think at some point the answer is going to be yes. Right now, the answer is going to be yes. He will be on an all-star team. Now, I can hear all the cynics. Sure, in 5 years, he'll be on the Eastern Conference all-star team.
They're the cynics.
But I'm not going to go down that road.
Not for 5 years. We'll see when we get there. Don't borrow trouble from the future.
Well,
it may well be out there. Who the heck knows?
I'm going to believe
there's no point in worrying about that now.
That Keontae George is going to be fine here. Until I see and hear otherwise, that he's going to recognize I'm playing in a first-class organization with an excellent coach, and they're providing me with everything I need, and I'm making enormous money. And he's from Texas, right?
He is.
And so they got a guy who's around the team. I don't know if he has a formal spot, but he's from Texas. And he wanted out.
Referring to D. Will.
And so, hey, kid, come over here.
Let me explain something to you.
Yeah.
Here's how it is around the lake.
Yeah.
If you don't believe me, go talk to that guy. And then go talk to Boozer.
We're Texas guys here.
Yeah.
And so I know what you're going through because I went through it myself. And don't mess with good, man. And if you got a good thing going, and maybe I'll be proved wrong, which won't be the last time, but I'm going to freaking believe that he's going to see all things and realize this is a good spot to be in, and we're winning. And I want to be a legend for somebody. And you can, and unless you're LeBron, you can bounce around. But how many of those guys can really bounce around and be? Is Kevin Durant?
I was about to bring him up.
A legend? Is Russell Westbrook going to be a legend? Who's he going to be with? What is your identifiable team?
I think Durant is big enough to be a legend of the game, but I don't think he's a legend in any city he played in.
Right.
Which is two different things. Where when you walk into a building, the place goes wild, which we've seen with, I don't even know how many Jazz players. There's just so many. And a lot of them who didn't play their whole career here.
No, I don't think you have to.
Get very warm welcomes.
But when you're going at your best, unless they don't want you, college baseball starts up in a couple of weeks, right? I think softball starts coming up a week earlier, right? It's right around the corner. And so yesterday they had a softball game involving some Arizona State alumni. Mm-hmm. And they got a lot of guys in the pros, obviously. And then they had some celebs. You know who got the biggest roar?
Who?
You know.
Barry Bonds.
He wasn't there. Cam Scatterbo.
Oh, yeah, okay. I didn't know they brought back all sports for the baseball. I thought it was.
It's some celebs.
Okay.
Beyond the.
Yeah.
And so he is recovering from the surgery. He played second base. I saw a video of him, fielded it flawlessly.
Because he's an athlete.
But he didn't run. Mm-hmm. So he'd hit, and then the guy would run. Right? Well, one time the guy didn't have to run because Scatterbo hit it over the fence.
T-ball for him.
But wouldn't you want to be that?
Have the place where you go back and they cheer you.
Yeah, forever. Forever. And you're going to go chase something that you already got?
Well, a lot of people have done it.
Does that make any sense?
It didn't it didn't to me at the time, but you also could feel like this is going to happen, Because you and I could sit here, being much older, right, and think, don't do it. This is good. And yet, multiple players.
But I believe in the sophistication of today's athlete.
There's no doubt about it. And I think that, and I've had a couple people say this to me too, they're not only more sophisticated from a business sense, they're more emotionally sophisticated than we were at that age. And
I believe it.
They're forced to grow up. The professional system gets them for sure somewhere around 12, 14, certainly by 16. But depending on who you are and how you develop, it gets you before that. So there's just a certain amount of savvy. You've been around and been through it, and you've changed teams, and you played for different people, and you've had to make friends with new guys on the team who you didn't know when you walked into the gym because you're changing AAU teams and you're going to international tournaments. Yeah, it's a different deal.
That's why amid all the constant losing and the multiple year constant losing, I think there's a foundation. To what degree can be competitive remains to be seen. But I think they already have a foundation that allows them to be plus 500. And I'm one of these guys.
So now I hear Tim Lacombe saying, so you agree with me?
Well, I'm not saying necessarily next season.
Okay. Because you're going down the road, Tim goes.
He says, and I'm fine going down that road.
Tim's like, there's stuff in place here that isn't completely obvious.
Right. I agree.
And I was up there the other night talking about the lack of defense in whatever game it was atrocious. And he's like, when you make a meeting optional just to turn it into the workplace, don't 80 or 90% of the people not show up? It was optional. He says, well, they're trying to lose, and defense becomes optional. You think guys are really going to lay it on the line? Now, they have a couple of dreadful performances, and the coaches make a bigger issue of it, and we see Bryce Sensabaugh, who is not the best defender on the team and is not the second best defender, is not the third best, but he gave up his body and got run over and took a charge.
And before we go to break, let me say, in my work world, for me, nothing was ever optional.
And that's why you're the 10 or 20%.
Nothing.
But have you ever been to meetings that you went to, even though it wasn't convenient? And don't lie, because I know the answer to this question. And then you look up and you're like, wait, so-and-so isn't here.
Yeah,
so-and-so isn't there.
We had a Teams meeting and some of us had already known, I'd already known, to tell us about Hans leaving. You and I were on the call. Do you know anybody who wasn't, Yak?
Yeah, certain.
I'm just saying. Hey. Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah.
Sniggledorf.
Quote unquote, our leader.
Oh, now it's quote unquote. Okay.
Yeah, it is quote unquote. Depends on what's useful in the moment, Yak.
You and me, we were there.
We were there.
Yeah.
Bright and early.
No, I'm not going to lie. I did think we were getting punked originally, but that's a story for another day.
What do you mean we're getting punked?
They're like, hey, Hans Olsen is leaving. I thought it was just a punchline to kind of open the meeting.
Did? Oh.
I'm not going to lie.
You were waiting for the joke?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, they're serious.
And nobody's actually laughing. Oh, wait. Anyways.
Now, he didn't need to be there because I already told him.
Well, you should have told me. Come on now.
Well, I was told not to tell.
So I'm
going to tell one person.
But this dude's a steel trap.
Fair enough. That's a good point.
I trust him with my life when it comes to that.
No, I agree with you on that.
Thanks to my grandmother for teaching me a lesson when I was 4. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Steve Cleveland talking BYU hoops next, right here on the Zone. DJ, PK, it's time to welcome in Steve Cleveland, former BYU basketball coach. Steve, good morning.
Morning, fellas.
Steve, why so many slow starts? The question on the lips of thousands of BYU fans. So many bad first half, so many good second halves, and if they're playing a ranked team, they don't quite get over the hump. If they're playing a team that isn't quite that good, they usually do rally and win. But why do people have to watch 10 or 15 or 20 minutes of losing basketball? What's going on?
All right, let's look at some positives here.
Okay.
So, I think I know as a coach, just having that experience for 35 years, there were nights when we got off to slow starts, and it made it very difficult. The one thing about BYU that is a positive thing is that they've come back in games that were looking like blowouts, and they've made them really meaningful games. Unfortunately, whether you lose by 1 or 31, it doesn't matter. Losing is losing, but this team has to. They've got to have better first halves, number one, and number two, they've got to defend in times when it's really needed to get a stop. And I think, as I've watched these games, and I'm listen, I coached long enough to know that as a coach, you try a lot of different things, and you try to put yourself in a position where you can win basketball games. But I think the slow starts and then just amazing second halves. But by the time, what happens is that you've got to spend all that energy and go through that whole process, and all of a sudden you've had to get after it, and your legs, you lose a little bit of your legs. You get a situation where teams that you're playing at home or on the road, you've got to be able to be more consistent defensively, I think, and getting stops early on, not getting down big, and then fighting back. And there's a lot. This team has a lot of heart, and they're competitive, but they're just putting themselves in holes that it's hard to get out of because you're playing good teams. I mean, you're playing there. They played Arizona close to the 3-point loss. They had to go to Kansas, which we'll talk about in a minute, but. For a team that's 14th ranked, boy, they really looked a lot better, and Peterson was the real deal for the half that he played.
I'm wondering, is Kevin Young thinking about or actually saying the words that church leader accused you of saying after you won your first conference title when you were in high school and he called you into his office?
Do we really want to go there?
I'm reading the book.
Hey, listen, first and foremost, I'll let you know I've been to enough practices and watched Kevin and his staff. But listen, it's part of the process. And you do get angry and you do get upset. And I think the thing is that when I had issues like this when I was playing, or not when I was playing, when I was coaching, I felt like the most important thing that I could do was to be honest with them. And if it needed to be said, I said it. I'm always tried to watch my language and try to be as appropriate as I can. But sometimes it just drives you nuts when these things are happening.
It consumes you.
Yeah, and so I just think that you get your group together. I had enough team meetings when guys weren't playing well in a half, or guys hadn't been playing well for 2 or 3 weeks, that you hold the people accountable. And I can't imagine Coach Young, he'll probably start with himself and his staff, is that we need to do a better job. And number two, that, hey, you know what? If AJ's not playing well, or Saunders isn't playing well, or whoever it might be, right? You have to be honest with the guys, because your teammates, if they watch, your teammates watch the best players in a position where they're not acting accountable, or that maybe the coaching staff's not taking the time to make sure everybody knows who's accountable here, then you have problems. I don't think we have that problem. I just think it's time that, Coach Young and his staff have to make it really clear about what it takes to win close games on the road. And I was shocked how good Peterson was. And I'd seen him play a little bit, but he's been hurt so much, it's hard to see him play. And but those were deep threes, and I mean his stroke was so good and so confident, and the fact that he didn't even play in the second half has to upset a coaching staff and a team that says he didn't even play the last 20 minutes, and that is something that I would bring the attention. And listen, Coach Young and his staff are outstanding, and I'm absolutely certain they made it very clear that we got to be better in the beginning, and we got to be definitely better at the end.
I'm curious how you see these poor starts. Is it some type of scheme thing they're not ready for? I don't think it's that, but I've wondered. To me, I think it's more an energy and focus problem, and it seems like when they get down, they really get locked in and really go. I don't know why they don't get locked in earlier. How do you see it?
I think there are two things. The coaching staff has a responsibility and a role there. They know that, and I'm sure they've talked about it. I think the other thing is, where is the leadership on this team coming from? And you hear all the naysayers out there, and I don't listen to that junk. But I think right now it's maybe time for a players' meeting. Maybe a time that Richie Saunders, who is the heart and soul of this team and has been in this program for a long time, that he gathers the guys together without the coaches. Maybe not, they don't even know about it. I mean, I did that as a player. I remember as a coach, there were times when the leadership of that team, all of a sudden they're having their own private meeting. And it's not about pointing fingers. It's about we got to be more accountable to each other. And I don't think this is about AJ. In fact, AJ's a young player. He's doing what he needs to be doing. He had a challenging time against Arizona. He wasn't able to hit the three. I think he was 1 for 8. And but he came back, had 17, 1 and 2, but he only having 1 rebound. And so, but it can't be just about AJ. I mean, yes, I think when your best player is not performing maybe as he'd like, or the coaching staff or the players, it's really important everybody be accountable, not just an AJ or a Keita or a Saunders, but everyone. And when you start looking at the numbers, you realize that this team, they need their own team meeting. They need to look at each other and talk to each other. And the really good teams that I coached, they were leader-led teams, and that's when you turn a corner here, and I believe that's what they will do. And I think anytime you go through a time where you lose a couple of games, and hey, it's tough. I mean, I had no idea how good some of these teams were, and I think you're looking at. I think they have 6 ranked teams right now in the Big 12, and you're playing Oklahoma State, but I went through. Just looking at the numbers and looking at Oklahoma State and remembering the tradition of Oklahoma State, man, you can't look past anybody. And it's got to happen right from the beginning, because the last thing you want to do is go on a road and then all of a sudden get down 10 or 15. And it's just hard to overcome that in the second half when you're on the road. Yes, you can do it at home, but much harder to do it on the road.
I'm wondering if there's any type of strategic moves they can make. And we were discussing, Wright being able to get into the paint so easily, but being smaller, but he's a good shooter too, so he's having a hard time finishing. Maybe move him off the ball a little bit more, put the ball in Saunders' hands, and see, particularly obviously in the first half, and maybe generate some more offense there, and free up Wright to take some jump shots instead of trying to score and direct the offense, because that's a heavy load on somebody to carry. Yeah,
it is a heavy load. And he's asked to do a lot of things here, and he's capable of doing it. But I like your thinking there. I remember that there were times in games, in-game situations, where I would something would come to my mind and thinking, what can I do? And I'm sitting there thinking about it, and it's like, maybe taking somebody off the ball. I mean, listen, you can't look at anyone. Wright has been amazing, and what he's done for this team. But when guys are struggling a little bit, it's not the time to point fingers. It's time to, what can we do personally? What coach can I have go work out Wright or AJ or Saunders or Boscovich, whomever it might be? I mean, I'm looking at the line there with their bench guys, and I mean, just the 3-point shooting. AJ, I think, was 1 for 3. Saunders was 3 for 7. Wright was 1 for 5. Boscovich was 1 for 4. The 3 ball is a big part of the game today, and it's been a big part of the success BYU's had. And then when you look at the Kansas game, and you got 90 to 82, but it starts with Peterson going off and making everything he shoots. But then you go back and take a look, and Richie goes 33, 10, and 2, and AJ 17, 1 and 2. But you're 3 guys that are there and being asked to do it, but there hasn't been a lot of help. There's just not much coming off the bench. Guys get in foul trouble. Maybe guy needs a break. And so they're going to need to develop their bench. And they're going to need to work with their bench and continue to do those kinds of things, which I know this staff is going to do. But I know as a coach, and for those that are listening that aren't coaches or watching as a fan, that you do have to do different things. And you have to maybe take a guy out of a rotation on a particular game and have him come off the bench. You got to get some confidence. These are really good coaches. I remember being a coach and trying to navigate through getting my guys to get their confidence back. But I like the idea of Richie Saunders, especially bringing his mates together in where coaches aren't involved, where managers aren't involved, and just talk through those things. That can be so therapeutic, and it can be so good for a team. You're not going to be having team meetings, every 2 or 3 days, but make them meaningful. If it's appropriate, I always like to see my guys just, Coach, we're going to be about a half hour late. We have some things we need to talk about. And if it's Richie and if it's AJ, whoever it might be, but you're looking at guys that have had a lot of success, that can really increase the confidence of this team and get them believing and playing the way that they want to play and the way the coaches want them to play.
This won't help this year's team, but do you think for next year's schedule, the schedule year 2 was much tougher than schedule year 1, but there weren't true road games. There were a lot of neutral site games. Now, I know you got to get somebody else to agree to it, so I don't know if you try to find someone in the Big Ten, maybe Izzo would do it. He seems to get a home and home so you can really feel what it's like to go on the road. Maybe go to Utah State or New Mexico or San Diego State, places that traditionally love to boo BYU, get a hostile environment there, because these guys didn't really play true road games until they got to conference. Now, they did win the first 2 against K-State and Utah, but is that something they should look at going forward? Real road games in November and December, where possible.
Well, I think when I was putting my schedule together, we did initially early on, depending on the team, and if it was a senior-laden team, and we wouldn't do as much of this, but I always try to get 2 or 3 or 4 games in that first 11 where I could play younger players, where I could put myself in a position where I could play more players and watch and see what kind of development there was. But when you get to the second part of the early preseason, I always felt it was good to do it. And they played. I'm trying to think their schedule. I know they played UConn. What you guys?
Clemson, Villanova.
What's that schedule?
Wisconsin, Miami, Dayton. I mean, they played some teams where you're thinking, okay, this is a pretty good team, but they're mostly neutral court games. I think they played 5 neutral court games.
Yeah.
Maybe 6.
And they're, I mean, I think if you're thinking as a coach, it makes things more equal. You're not playing at a home court advantage. You're playing somewhere where you have a better chance to win a neutral site game than you might on a road. Yeah. I'm talking they're playing good teams and good talent. So I'll just tell you kind of what I did. And I mean, I felt like I needed 3 or 4 games to get guys an opportunity, especially younger players, new to the program. But this team right now is not a young team anymore. I mean, they've played a number of games. And I think I'll go back to the accountability of the players. And where's that leadership? I got to believe Richie is where that heart and soul of that team is. Wright is a leader. He, and I don't know anything about his personality, so I can't speak to that. I'm not at practices right now. But when you're asking me to think about guys that can have an impact on winning day in and day out, certainly Richie and AJ and Wright are the guys that you look to. But who on that staff, like Davis the other night against Arizona, had 15. That's a good number for him. I'm looking at BYU against Kansas. AJ had 17, K to 9, Davis 2, Saunders 1 off, 6 for 14 3-pointers. Wright, the same guys, but there's not a lot of help off that first line of players. And so maybe we're developing, maybe we're spending time as coaches with individual players, helping them with the 3-ball, helping them with free throws, whatever the needs are. There's some special attention that goes to guys that maybe aren't where they need to be. And this is no time where we're berating players and doing those kinds. I'm not suggesting that at all. What I'm suggesting is I remember I got more done one-on-one with a young man that it was struggling, and there was no outside influence besides me. And then what you do is with your assistant coaches, I tell them what I've done and what I'm doing, and then let them reinforce that down the road where players feel like, oh, I'm part of this. Coach is taking special time. Hey, listen, when a head coach takes a player, and you can take any of these players here, but let's say that it's not AJ and it's not Saunders and it's not Wright, but look at a guy like Davis who goes 5 for 8 from the 3-point line against Arizona. Then you come back down here again, and he's 1 for 6 from the field goal. It's 2, 2, and 1. Well, that happens when guys play a little more time, or they're up here or down there. I just believe that accountability is the thing that you have to focus on as players, number one. If you can get your leadership, the players themselves being a player-led team, you're always going to be better through those experiences. Yes, there are times we get upset and we get angry and we feel like maybe the effort isn't what it needs to be. Hold them accountable. I don't think the effort has been a major issue, but it is at times you watch a team that kind of goes through the motions and they get behind and then they got to fight and come back. And when you're playing in league play, you can't take anybody for granted. I mean, I'm looking at the upcoming games. They got Oklahoma State, and they're 15-6. BYU is going to be picked to win that game, but they're playing at Oklahoma State. And I remember being at Oklahoma State and going there. It's a tough place to play. And I know the coaches will prepare them for that, but these upcoming games against Oklahoma State and against Houston at home, which is obviously going to be a real beast, these are two really big games. Good news, Houston's at home, but this is a week. They sweep this week. That renews everything and gets the confidence. Maybe younger players who's going to step up and make big shots. But it's a big week, and they got to take care of business, obviously, early on, and with Oklahoma State, and that's going to be tough. But playing Houston at home is going to be every bit as tough as well. So this is an opportunity. They go 2-0 this week. Not like the world's going to end and they lose a game. But if they could sweep this game, that gives this team and the coaching staff more confidence and more togetherness and unity than maybe what they've had in the last couple of games.
Coach, we appreciate the time as always. Thanks for joining us. We will talk to you again next week.
Great being with you guys. Have a good day.
There is Steve Cleveland. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.